रिकॉर्ड చేస్తారు कोई फुल అదే ఎక్కువ ఛార్జింగ్ అయిపోతుంది తర్వాత యూజ్ చేస్తాను. ఓకే సార్, అంటే లైక్ చేస్తున్నారు కదా అని.
సర్టిఫికేట్ వాల్యూ కదా, మళ్ళీ నీకు ఇంకే ప్రాబ్లం అవుతుంది. సర్టిఫికేట్ లేనప్పుడు పర్మనెంట్
Contingent Soldan! पीजी कॉलेज इंग्लिश कॉन्टेंट आपके लिए बात करते हैं सर। जय सर। राममोहन
अच्छा अच्छा एक फ्लोर प्रोफेसर है बर्थडे भाई है ओनली maybe name has changed but you know there
Honorable Chief Guest, Sri C. Parthasarathy, IAS distinguished guest to be honored, Sri Professor M. Dharmaraj Sarkaru, Dean, Faculty of Social Sciences, Head Department of English, retired, Telangana University, on to dance and have his honorable seat. May I invite our beloved Vice Principal, Sri P. Rama Reddy Garu, on to dance and have his honorable seat. Next, we look forward for the presence of our head, Department of English, convener of this national seminar, Dr. Muhammad Aslam Faruqi Garu, on to dance and have his honorable seat. With equal pleasure, I invite our co-convener of the national seminar, Sri Veera Prasad Garu, on to dance and have his honorable seat. I invite our respected UGC coordinator, Dr. Muhammad Abdul Rafiq Sir Garu, on to dance and have his honorable seat. The next item of the program, presentation of banners. I ask Sham to honor our principal, Dr. V. Rajendra Prasad Sir Garu, with badge. I ask Shruti to honor our chief guest, Sri Parthasarathy IAS in charge, Vice Chancellor, Telangana University, Garu, with badge. I invite Prasunna guest to honor our guest, Professor D. Venkataraw Garu, if you Hyderabad. I ask Aparna to honor our guest, Dr. K.V. Ramanachari, Head Department of English, Telangana University. I invite Pranavi to honor our guest, Professor M. Dharmaraj Garu, Sir Garu, with badge. I invite Sharanya to honor our Vice Principal, P. Rama Reddy Garu. I invite Lavanya to honor our convener, Dr. Muhammad Aslam Faruqi Garu, with badge. I invite Jalil Khan to honor our co-convener, Veera Prasad Garu, with badge. I ask Muhammad Sofyan to honor our UGC coordinator, Dr. Muhammad Abdul Rafiq Garu, with badge. Ma'am, English faculty. All English faculty members are requested to come on to the please. I request S. Lavanya to honor our principal with the bouquet. I request D. Pratibha to honor our Vice Chancellor in charge of Telangana University. I request N. Sohasri Madam to honor our guest, Dr. D. Venkataraw Garu.
అవునవును. మొన్నగా మ్యారేజ్ ఉంది కదా.
శుక్లాం భరధరం విష్ణు శశివర్ణం చతుర్భుజం ప్రసన్నవదనం ధ్యాయే సర్వవిఘ్నోపశాంతయే అగజానన పద్మార్కం గజానన మహర్నిశం అనేకదంతం భక్తానాం ఏకదంతం ఉపాస్మహే. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Professor Andres. Respected president of the session, Dr. V. Ryan Prasad Garu, the principal of this prestigious college, esteemed chief guest of the national seminar, Sri Parthasarathi IAS Garu, Vice Chancellor of Telangana University, Nizamabad, and guest of honor of the session, Professor R. Limbadi, Registrar, Telangana University, Nizamabad, and one more guest of honor, Professor B. Venkata Garu, International Foreign Language University, Hyderabad, and Professor K.V. Ramanachari, HOD, Department of Topic to be exposed. Many writers from India who have contributed a lot for promoting English literature with their works in English, which is nowadays is called Indian writing in English, is nothing but Indian English.
Today's esteemed chief guest of the seminar, Sri Parthasarathi Garu, IAS, Vice Chancellor, Telangana University, Professor D. Venkata Garu, Professor IGNOU, University of Hyderabad, Dr. K.V. Ramanachari Garu, Head of the Department, English, Telangana University, Professor N. Dharmaraj Garu, Retired Dean in Social Science, the Head of the Department of English, Telangana University, the convener of this national seminar, Dr. Aslam Parveen Garu, the co-convener, Vira Prasad Garu, the Vice Principal of this college, P. Raman Garu, Dr. Pratik Garu, UGC Coordinator, and I'm also welcome to the professors, teachers, scholars, students, and print and electronic media. Today, this academic year, we are conducting second national seminar in the Department of economics, English. Before I present the profile of our college, this college was started in the province of Kerala in 1956 with PUC course, the 92 students. The college was situated into this premises in 1969 in about 27.23 acres of land. Later, the UG courses were started in arts, science and commerce by 1958. This college has got 2F and quality status in 1956 and 1960 respectively. The PG courses were started on the occasion of Silver Jubilee year in 1981. It has autonomous status conferred by UGC in 2004 and 5. The college also conferred CP status by UGC in the year 2010. This college was reaccredited with B grade by NAC in 2012. At present, our college offers 19 UG courses and 7 PG courses with nearly 3,000 students. It has Jawaharlal Nehru Center was established in 2007, which gives training to the students on communication skills and soft skills and analytical skills. This college has also 2 separate spacious libraries with sole software from Impleminate. We have language facility in both libraries and browsing e-resources and internet facility for browsing free e-resources. This college is well equipped with science and computer labs. It has the student facility center, e-learning resource development center. Recently, the college is selected by MHRD under the ROSA grants. We have got 2 crore rupees for the development of this college. We have a good percentage and a good results in our institution. Nearly 85% of results we have got. Regarding the seminar, I am very happy that the Department of English has worked hard for organizing this national seminar under the instructions of Dr. Aslam Pavlovsky. The seminar has received international papers from Canada and various parts of India. The topic of this seminar, the contribution of Indian writers, the conversion of English writers in 20th century, which is a broad scope of study, as many poets and writers from India have contributed a lot to English literature. India has produced many famous English poets and writers in 20th century, like R.K. Narayana, Mulkaz Anand, Bajirao, and etc., who have contributed much to Indian fiction in the 1930s. It is also associated with the works of members of Indian diaspora, such as V.S. Naipaul, Kiran Desai, Jampal Ahadi, Aga Said Ali, Wajid Ram, Khuswan Singh, and Kuldeep Nair, and etc. The main contributions of Indian writers is that they have introduced many words from Indian languages into English literature. They provide to Indian culture in their writings in a beautiful way. The Indian poets and writers won international literature awards and proved that they can masters in English through their mother tongue in different. I hope this seminar will definitely provide an opportunity to have a thought on the 20th century Indian literature and the contributions of Indian writers in English. I thank all the guests and
dignitaries on the dais and off the dais and all my dear students. I feel very proud to read out the biography of our chief guest till the date. As project director, DRTA Adilabad, joint collector Anantapur, joint collector Warangal, district collector and magistrate Karimnagar district, managing director MA ARKFED, Hyderabad, Commissioner Information and Public Relations and Managing Directors, AP State Film, TV, Theatre Development Corporation, Project Director, AP State AIDS Control Society, Commissioner and Ex-Officio Secretary, Disaster Management, Revenue Government of AP, Commissioner of Civil Supplies and EO Secretary to Government Consumer Affairs, Food and Civil Suppliers, Department Government of Telangana. Sir has attended many conferences and trainings and honored with many awards. What not, everything has done. Thank you, sir. Thank you for that.
So good morning everybody. Being son of this soil, I had a very strong desire of visiting this college because the people who have made a mark in their lives and who hail from Nizamabad district, you ask anybody, when you have your college education, then they will say Giraj College only. So I am happy to be here. It's a historic college. Started about 6 decades back. Now its age is 60 years, but looks quite vibrant and youthful. I am happy that the hall is shared by equally by girls and boys. So I am proud to say that this is one of the pioneering institutions in this entire region, known for its quality of education. So it's a historic moment for me too to address this gathering and inaugurate this national level seminar. I am also very glad that our university, Telangana University, took its birth from this campus in 2006, 10 years back. And after 3 years, it was shifted to Dichpalli campus, which is present main campus. I am very proud to be here for the also reason that it is an accredited college. It is the only accredited college in the district probably. Second, Madhumalancha and this one. Okay, nice. And we are also inspired to, draw some lessons from this campus when NAC PFA visited our campus last month and it was by and large successful. So we are just hoping that we'll be accredited soon, and then Telangana University will be the only university in the entire state of Telangana to be an accredited university, because Usmania and Kakatiya, they lost their accreditation and they have lapsed. So that way it will be proud moment, historic moment from Telangana University. Maybe next 1 or 2 months we are waiting for that good news and we will be sharing that good news with you. So known for its excellent alumni, I hope the college must be holding regular alumni meets. Very, very important. And this being 60th year, I am requesting the principal of this college, faculty, staff and entire student community to celebrate this event of completion of 60 years. It's a good occasion. And definitely Telangana University will be supporting your program directly or indirectly, so that it is a good event which can inspire, the students who are studying here. It looks like a mini university for me. When I inquired with the principal, what is this term? He mentioned 3,500, and he says another 400 PG students. So it's a mini university which every one of you must be proud of it. Anyway, coming to the English, which is known as language of the globe, which is also a lingua franca for the entire modern world. So this is very, very important occasion that several students are participating in this seminar with a lot of enthusiasm. Definitely, English is a game changer in your life. Please be aware of this. So English is not just literature, it's a game changer and it is life changer for all of you. And to learn English, one must have a passion. One must have a commitment. I hope this seminar will succeed in inspiring all of you to learn good English. And I wish good success for this seminar. Generally, there is one word which is under circulation these days. If you do not know English, you are treated as illiterate. Not illiterate, illiterate. So please be sure that you do not become illiterate in the modern world. So for your career, English is very, very important. And not only English literature, each student must invariably develop communication skills in English, otherwise it will be a problem for you in your entire career. So please remember this before I talk about the content about this, contribution of various people in the 19th century. In the introduction it was mentioned, Indian English writing. They also call it Indo-Anglian, isn't it? Indo-Anglian, they used to call it. They mentioned that 1930s English is made visible in our country. If we talk in terms of history of novels, English novels, then only 1930s that English novel has become visible in our country thanks to emergence of three writers, Rajarao, Mukrajana, and who else? R.K. Narayan. So these are the three people because of which we are able to say that 1930s the English novel writing in India made its beginning. Though for technical reasons we can say that Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay, who wrote one novel, Raj Mohan's Wife, in 1864. So as per the records, that is said to be the first English novel in our country. Anyway, if you want to really analyze the literary history of any language, the literature itself, the literature per se, is not, self-containing. The literature is nothing, but it is a reflection of the times, reflection of the milieu, the socio-economic, political, cultural, psychological, so what not. So it represents the milieu. If you know the history of literature, you are also trying to find out the historical moments, the historical episodes, the historical events that had a huge impact on any literature, including English literature. Though English literature in the form of novels, we are saying it is visible from 1930s. It was not a continuous process that we are finding so much literature after 1930s. No, there was a long gap afterwards. Again, you find bubble of English literature only in the 50s and 60s. Whatever English literature which relates to pre-independent days, it mainly derived, from narration type of, issues, from our epics, from our own literature. People say that you are able to convey whatever thoughts you have, whatever you would like to convey, they are thoughts of your own, but it's an alien language. One also says that this language is more of a intellectual maker rather than emotional maker. We don't have that much attachment for the English knowledge in the initial years, because unlike other languages, let it be Urdu, let it be Arabic, let it be Persian, those languages entered our country in a gradual manner, in the shape of what we call cultural osmosis. So unlike those languages, English entered India riding piggyback of British Empire. So there was a huge problem for those writers who used to write in English in 30s, 40s and 50s. There was a dilemma. People, they used to say, no, you are not truly Indian because you are writing in English. You are showing a lot of interest in learning English. So that kind of dilemma used to be there in 40s and 50s when people used to write. In fact, if you analyze the awards, very, very important international awards, particularly the Man Booker Prize, you find that the Indians got awards, but most of them are not resident Indians. V.S. Naipaul is also Nobel laureate. He was born in Trinidad, in a very poverty-ridden, obscure family. And he is almost, we can treat him as number one writer of our country. But he is not an Indian. Salman Rushdie, though his origins, we can trace them back to Kashmir. He wrote Midnight Children novel, which has become a magnum opus, which has become a pathfinder for the future writers. He got Booker Prize in 1981, and after Midnight Children book, which electrified the English population, the new generation of writers kept coming in 80s and 90s. And we can say Arundhati Roy is the first Indian writer who got Man Booker Prize. And with Arundhati Roy, the enthusiasm among Indians grew that I should write in English. That's how 80s and 90s represented a boom in English writing. We can quote any number of authors whose books they brought laurels, they brought accolades, they brought a lot of awards. And important authors being non-resident Indians. Some more examples may be Amitav Ghosh, Reason of Circle, is also American based. Then was Parsi, Mystery, Rohinton Mystery, was Canada based. His novel, what was that name? Fine Balance, Family Matters. Fine Balance also got Man Booker Prize. So, there are, I don't know, maybe 9, 10, 12, I don't know how many authors, Indian authors, they got the man Booker Prize, but majority of them were non-resident Indians. Some of the writers of English language, though they are Indians, they were criticized for one reason. What is that criticism? To take example of, say, Shobhade, who is a very popular columnist now in all the major newspapers and magazines. For that matter, Kiran Desai, like these people, there was a very strong criticism. They are mostly cosmopolitan and they don't have roots in our country. So, they lived in cities, maybe city of New Delhi or city of Mumbai. They were only imagining conditions of our country and started writing about poverty, illiteracy, so many issues relating to Indian culture and civilization, but they didn't live with people. They didn't share their thoughts with the people. They were only assuming, imagining, and writing those books. That was also very strong criticism against several authors, because basically, being rural people like all of us, we are not good at English, isn't it? We are very poor in communicating English because of our background, because of our social background, because of our rural milieu in which we live. Nobody speaks English in the village. Because if you want to learn English, you must have passion. Where is the environment or atmosphere for learning English in the villages? No scope. It's only in major towns, maybe some of the district headquarters, or only in metropolitan cities that they go for corporate education, they study in English medium, and that's how they learn English, and they also start writing books. Literature was impacted in the history of mankind by various events, by various philosophers, by various thinkers. If you want me to quote one of the example, today World War I took place between 1914 and 1918. That was the period. And that was the period the center of power was shifted from Europe or Britain to USA. For the first time, USA has become number one power center in the world after completion of this World War I, because the Western forces won World War I with the help of USA. And that had a huge impact on the writers. Otherwise, they were all in the influence of Greek and Roman philosophers. Maybe Socrates, maybe Aristotle, maybe Plato. And they were thinking that human life is determined by logic and rationale. Logic and rationale. And world was shocked in 1918 when with lot of power, with loss of so much human power, lakhs of people died in World War I. Then everybody was thinking, what is this? What is the value of humanism? When we talk of humanism, what is happening to this? And World War II also huge impact on the minds of the people who are writing. Because during that World War, one entire city was smashed. Nagasaki, Hiroshima, entire city, lakhs of people were obliterated with just one atom bomb. And this had a huge impact on the minds of the writers, irrespective of any language. So when you write something, when you go through literature, you should not only go through the literary content, you have to analyze the circumstances, those times under which this writings took birth. One day, Sigmund Freud was born. He said, dreams are also correct. He said something about subconscious. He spoke about illuminations, vision. So the theory which was embracing all the people those times, like Socrates and Plato, those days the literature used to be organic. It used to be only linear kind of literature. When it got ripples because of this impact of Sigmund Freud, for that matter Darwin. Darwin broke the record. For the first time, he said the biological origin of man is wrong. Human being is equal to all other species on this universe. It's like any other species. Only thing that his brain is developed and is highly evolved human being. But it's like any other species. So this kind of inventions, this kind of ideas, this kind of great thinkers, philosophers have broken the linear growth of literature. And literature has become inorganic. Lot of interruptions, patchwork. Literature also evolved from one form to another form. Now this generation, you started writing something. In the historical day, you started with epic writing. After some time, you have exhausted that form of literature. Then you have gone for dramatism. You have exhausted that literary form. You have gone for poetry. You have exhausted it. You have gone for novel writing. That also you exhausted it. You have gone for storytelling, small stories. Because ultimately, as the ages went on, people are thinking of utility, value of literature. If you pick up a book of, say, Wordsworth, Keats, Shelley, Shakespeare, what is the relevance for the present day society? People have started thinking about it. What is that we can convey to the people who are just surrounding us? I am writing a book. If it is not relevant for all of you, what is its use? So this is called utilitarian concept of literature. People started thinking about utility of whatever they wrote. Now in the modern literature, we are seeing emergence of Dalit literature in the last 2-3 decades. Feminist literature. So many streams, so many trends are coming which are reflecting our times, which are reflecting the events which take place as part of history. So literature also reflects the growth of civilization, the growth of culture, the way the science and technology has evolved. We offer science fiction. Alvin Toffler, what is his name? Alvin Toffler. Future growth, Alvin Toffler. Science fiction. It has become a very big hit. Why? Because he spoke about science fiction. Because we are living in the age of science and technology. So what I mean to say is, when you think of literature of any age, let it be 19th century, 20th century, or the new millennium, it will definitely reflect the times, it will definitely reflect the events and episodes that take place during the period, and that analysis is very, very important. If you want to shine as an author now, you have to pick up the pulse. What is the pulse of the people? Why Salman Rushdie's Midnight Children became a big hit? It was called magic. What is it? Magic realism. Rushdie's writings are conceptualized as magical realism. So that's how you have to understand literature, including English literature. We have so many good authors, and some of them produce a very, very commercial, hits kind of novels. It may be Vikram Seth, The Suitable Boy. What was the first book? Vikram Seth. It was also a commercial hit. Kiran Desai. There are all the authors Then Shashi Tharoor, Central Minister till recently. The great Indian novel, Shashi Tharoor. So he became a good writer in 80s and 90s. Arvind Adiga, White Tiger. I think he got Booker Prize, Man Booker Prize. Amitabh Ghosh, Arvind Adiga, they all got, Booker Prize, Man Booker Prize. So in the present day, maybe you are familiar more with Chetan Bhagat. Three mistakes of life. Two states, revolution, they are very, very powerful. So Chetan Bhagat has set a different trend. Now he represents youth icon. He talks about marriages, he talks about our social problem, he talks about youth. What was that novel? Namesake. Who was that lady? Jhumpa Lahiri. She is also non-resident Indian. Namesake. There was a Hindi film that talks about immigration problem. The boy is coming from a weak background and immigration background. So the marital problems, extramarital relations problems, all those issues are exposed by that writer. I happened to go through one Pika Throne, Suji Sharaf, that also got some good award. Pika Throne. He is known for reading history. Somehow he developed Mr. Suji Sharaf. He talks about history, 18th century, 17th century. Pika Throne is nothing but it was seat of power of Shah Jahan. And from Persia, they came and plundered. He was unseated and Pika Throne was broken into pieces and it was scattered. That Pika Throne had that Kohinoor diamond which you find in the fields. It was only one diamond. But otherwise, the Pika Throne was a huge character. He described it in that novel. The Pika Throne. It has become a very famous novel representing the days of Shah Jahan. So I have taken sufficient time explaining the interpretation of English literature in 20th century. So I thank the principal, the convener, for giving me this opportunity. I wish all this is not a forum. You invite me, I come separately and talk about IAS. Okay? Thank you very much.
Sir, 1 minute, sir.
give the keynote address to all of us. Professor D. Venkata teaches at the English and Foreign Language University, Hyderabad. He studied at Kakatiya University, Warangal, and he completed his PhD from the University of Canterbury, United Kingdom. He did his postdoctoral researches at the University of Chicago, University of California, Berkeley, and University of Washington, Seattle. In addition to books in English and Telugu, he has published several articles in national and international journals. His most recent work is Cultures of Memory in South Asia, Morality, Literacy, and the Problem of Inheritance, which was published in 2014. Earlier, he translated Translation Nandis, The Intimate Enemy, as Creation Book, which was published in 2009.
Today's guest of honor, Professor D. Venkata, Professor Dharmaraj Garu, Head Department Ramanachari Garu, Head
Thank you. Dear friends on the dais and on the other side of the table, three things bring me to Giriraj College. One, an old friend, a very dear friend, Bhujangal. He has been telling me about this college for quite some time. And I never had a chance to visit this place. But ever since he joined this college, he had just praise for this college. The second thing that brings me to Giriraj College is that I have realized that this college has been producing wonderful students. Very enthusiastic students, students with passion, and students who are interested in learning. I keep getting phone calls from students from Bhujangam. They keep telling me, sir, we are students of Bhujangam, we want to come in and meet you. And then they come and they meet me and they continue. One of those students is sitting there, Kiran, Dr. Kiran Kumar, who is a product of this college. He produced him, and then he has done quite a lot of wonderful things in Hyderabad, and also he went to Germany. The university has sent him. He has just finished a PhD from our university. So there is a tremendous amount of potential and possibility in this college. This has begun to, bring me to Giriraj College. But your college has about 3,000 students. Your college has much better buildings and more space. We don't have space. We have about 22 acres or 25 acres of land, but you have more than that. So there are a lot of things that pulled me to this university. The third thing that brought me to the university, the keynote, the inaugural speech, the IAS officer was telling that he was the son of this soil. I must say that I am the grandson of this soil. My grandfather and others are from Nizamabad, from Balkonda. From both sides of Godavari, my parents come. From the other side, my mother comes from this side, my father comes. So I'm a grandson. I began to realize, I feel proud that I'm a grandson. Okay, your topic, as you've heard from the inaugural speech, the topic of this seminar is a difficult topic. Its difficulty is because it makes you talk about a lot of things which no single person is competent to do. No one can cover the entire topic. Though the IAS officer was trying to cover the entire range of the scope of the topic, but it is not possible to do that. The topic can demand only a survey. One can survey, and that is precisely what the IAS officer has done, very competently he has done. Well, you look at Wikipedia, you can do the survey also. You go tonight to the Wikipedia and then type Indian writing in English, then you will get a lot of information. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to disappoint you. Usually people don't invite me to talks. Well, what I try to do is to provoke them and say things so that they get provoked and they start quarreling with me. I hope you will do that. What I'm going to do is that I will diverge from the topic that you have given me, but connect myself to the topic too. I I will not intelligence survey. What's the point of telling you who wrote in the last 100 years? So what I'll try to do is to raise a certain kind of questions with regard to Indian writing in English in general, but more particularly, or rather particularly about Indian writing in English, but more generally about the crisis, the problem or the crisis the Indian creative and intellectual life is facing today. That's the topic that I'd like to talk about. And how can we continue literary inquiries today is the title of my topic. You know, people talk about V.S. Naipaul. Well, let me briefly tell you about this Indian writing in English. Well, people have been writing over the last 5 generations, people have written. More than 5 generations people have been writing. And many of them have been writing from India and from abroad, etc., etc. This has been going on. You can take a look at the Wikipedia and you'll get all the information that you want. If you simply want information, you will get from other sources. If you want an insight, you need to do a little bit of thinking. And I hope that you will, I know that there are a lot of young students, both faculty and students, so you will take the risk of thinking, you will develop a passion for thinking, and with that assumption, I'm going to say whatever I wish to say. V.S. Naipaul, you've heard the name earlier, said a few years ago, just a few years ago. I hope everybody has heard the name V.S. Naipaul. Can you hear me at the end? Am I audible? Can you hear? Okay. Alright, otherwise I'll take down the mic and speak. I'm a teacher after all. V.S. Naipaul said a few years ago, he said that though a lot of Indian writers have been writing today, they have barely been able to say what is specific about India. So the question that we have to ask is, what is Indian about Indian writing in English? What is Indian? How do we configure? How do we define? How do we talk about this something called the Indian? He drew an analogy, he drew a comparison. He said, look at the writers of the 19th century Russia. Major great writers of Russia in the 19th century, Tolstoy, Dostoevsky, Turgenev, many writers. All these writers in the 19th century have been able to find what the Russian soul is like. That is, what is distinct about Russia. What is something that differentiates Russians from Germans, Russians from French, Russians from English. This is being done by the writers. Naipaul's question is, have the Indian writers done that? The answer is a big no. Indian writers have not been able to do that. Indian writers are writing, their writing is of a certain kind. Naipaul was very critical, especially about the contemporary writers, post-Rushdie, including Rushdie. Naipaul has no respect for Rushdie, by the way. Including Salman Rushdie, many writers, he just writes them off. He says that these people are writing about their daddy, mummy and grandpa and other things. These people have nothing to say. What is the problem? Naipaul made a major, pay attention to this, I'll talk about this in a minute. He said something else. He is not blaming the writers alone. He went ahead and said, the problem with India, he said, is neither political nor economic. We don't have political economic problems. We have a large, huge amount of money in the country. That's not the problem. We are not a poor country, though there is poverty in the country. There is a very rich, wealthy country. The problem of India is neither political nor economic. The problem of India is that of the head. We don't know how to think. That's the challenge that we pose. And he said, this is the provocative statement he made. India, even after independence, 60 years of independence, India has not developed an autonomous intellectual life. An intellectual life that is autonomous. Like the writers telling you what is distinct about India, similarly the intellectuals have failed to provide what is distinct about Indian life. Now why is this happening? Why is this happening? Here's a statement by a writer long before Naipaul in the 1930s. He said this. He said that our exposure to the West is largely through English literature. English literature, people Indians cannot connect themselves to English literature. We do not know how to connect ourselves to English literature. I've been teaching English literature since God knows how many years, more than 3 decades now. Okay? So, I have stopped teaching English literature. By the way, I teach something else. Why is it? He raised the question, there's a Bengali philosopher, K.C. Bhattacharya. He said that there is not a single Indian. He said this in the 30s and it holds good even today. There is not a single Indian who has been able to make a distinct contribution to the study of English literature. There is no Indian reading of Shakespeare, by the way. There is no Indian reading of Coleridge or Milton. You will not come across that at all. We keep writing all kinds of articles. That's a different story. We are number 3 in the world as far as printing is concerned. We stand number 3 in the country. We stand number 3 in use of the internet. We stand number 2 as far as use of the cell phones are concerned. 800 million cell phones are there in the country. Okay? In a population of 1.2 billion, 800 million cell phones are there. But we have not contributed in any way to the intellectual understanding of English literature. Why does this happen? Because Naipaul said, we don't have an autonomous intellectual life. That's a part of the problem. We, that is people belonging to another generation and younger generation, will have to prepare them to think in what way can we provide a certain kind of contribution. In what way can we say that this is distinctly Indian, that India can think in this way. Okay? Earlier. The reason is that not just the concept of literature, but every concept that we introduce in the universities, concept of politics, as far as political science is concerned, concept of psychology, concept of ethics, any concept that you take, every concept that we use has come to us from Europe. It is Europe that has developed these concepts. And Europe developed because of its internal intellectual engagement. There were a lot of inquiries that were taking place within Europe, and these inquiries led Europe to design and develop to confront the problems that Europe was facing in the 19th century, in the 18th century. They developed such kind of concepts. They developed the concept of university also. We go to universities, we study these subjects, but we barely make any inquiry into either the concept or with regard to the institution. Next. Just read this particular saying by a major philosopher, a major thinker. What's the problem? Why is it we're not able to think independently? The point is that this famous philosopher who has tremendous amount of impact on 20th century European thought, he said, wherever thinking takes place, it takes place always within the bounds sketched by a tradition. Thinking will always have to take place within a tradition, within the framework of a tradition. If you begin to ask ourselves, in any of the disciplines, you may come from political science, you may come from psychology, you may come from literature, you may come from Telugu literature also, it doesn't matter, or Urdu literature, any of the departments. You ask the question, does our thinking take place within the bounds sketched by a tradition? Do we have a tradition from within which we can think? These questions begin to emerge. The answer, unfortunately, is no. Because we continue to function both in terms of the concepts that have been developed by Europe, within the framework of those concepts, and within the framework of the same institutions that have been developed by Europe, we continue to function. Whether Giriraj College knows Europe or not is immaterial. Giriraj College is an institution, it has these subjects, it offers these degrees, so you're already enveloped in European framework, and it prevents you from thinking. As a result, what happens is that we do not know. We are caught in a certain kind of predicament. We live a certain kind of life, we go to the university to do a different kind of work. You mug up. There's a lovely YouTube going on, YouTube clipping that is going on, you may have seen it. This mother, young Muslim mother is teaching the young kid. I'm sure some of you may have seen it. I saw it only last night. The mother is teaching the boy one word, daffodils. Some of you may have seen it. The boy is about 8 years old boy. She is telling him daffodils. This kid is saying daffodils. She is saying daffodils. Many of you do not know what a daffodil is, by the way. Wordsworth has written about daffodils. We have never seen daffodils. Daffodils don't grow India. Okay? So she says daffodil. The boy says daffodil. She repeats again, daffodil. He says daffodil. By then he's getting irritated. 6-year-old kid. Then the fourth time she says daffodil. Kitne baar bolenge? He says. He looks at that, kitne baar bolenge daffodil. He doesn't know what the bloody word is. That's a symbol of our education. We study Wordsworth, we study European literature, but we study without knowing what it is. So there is a kind of rupture between the life that we lead and the kind of learning that we undertake. So what happens is that tradition, the famous philosopher has said, thinking will have to take place within the bounds sketched by the tradition. But in our case, if you ask each of us, then begins to ask the question, does our thinking take place within the bounds sketched by the tradition? Whether it is Islamic, whether it is some other thing, anyone, does it take place really in that particular framework? It doesn't. We haven't begun to make the inquiry. So, but what the question is, what is the tradition? Tradition is nothing very simple. Ancestrally imparted practices. Ancestrally, generationally imparted practices. Generationally learned kind of practices. Yeah, these are our practices. Our languages are like that. Our activities are like that. Our rituals are like that. Our festivals are like that. Right? These form our tradition. But we haven't begun to think about our tradition. What actually we do and what we say or others say about what we do. Our activities, what we do, and what other people say about what we do, or what we ourselves say about what we do. But in the last 200 years, what happened in the Indian context is that what other people say about what we do have become more prominent. That is, Europeans have come, they have begun to study our cultures, they have begun to represent them, they become more important. If they come in and talk about a festival in Nizamabad, that becomes more important than those people who have been living and participating in that festival. This is our predicament. This is the crisis in which we are caught. That's why we are not able to generate any original autonomous kind of thinking. Next. So the challenge is that in a post-colonial, intellectually poor situation we are in a destitute situation. We are rich money-wise, but we are poor mind-wise, thinking-wise. So the questions we have to ask in every college, whether we are dealing with Indian writing English or whether we are dealing with Indian intellectual life, we have to ask the question, how should we teach? What should we be teaching? Right? Whom are we teaching? Yeah? What kind of students are we getting? Who are these people? Yeah, what is the larger orientation of higher education? Are we training them to take up certain kind of call center jobs? Then there is a different training that will have to be given. If we are training them to become writers, a different kind of training will have to be given. If we are training them to slowly become thinkers, then a different kind of training will have to be given. So there are large number of questions that we have to undertake. And in my view, not just for college, but I think I'm talking about the Indian scenario in general. I'm talking about JNU and other places also. I did the same talk elsewhere and they did with friends.
My point of view is, how do you get the identity? How does Indian literature get identity? Identity is a matter of confidence. So when Indians confidently put forward their writings, then they will get identity. And we have the habit of seeking for recognition and proof of identity from outsiders. So why not concentrate on proof from within India? Why do we always crave for recognition from outside Western powers? When we identify a work or an author, when that particular work or author gets a prize, either it may be a Booker Prize or Nobel Prize, an identity. When you are confident about what you are writing, then you will get identity. So India has already got identity when it gets confidence. So when you become more confident in your writing, when you come forth with power and with force, then you have talking about Indian writing, but I have not heard any author. I have not seen any author from Northeast India. So we have been neglecting Northeast as an area. So I thought that why not concentrate on Northeast India as an emerging area of study. Writings in English coming out of Northeast India are now considered to constitute a sub-genre universe. The literature of Northeast India has gained a lot of ascendance in the last 3 decades. And there are a number of unique intriguing features about these writings coming out of Northeast India. One of the important recurring motifs of Northeast Indian literature is violence. Many writings, because we art and poetry.
Rabindranath Tagore was a many-sided genius and a source of inspiration to millions of modern India. He was a prolific writer and pioneer in many fields. He was a poet, dramatist, actor and producer. He was a musician and a painter. He was an educationalist, a practical idealist. He was a novelist and short story writer and critic of literature. He is known as a great writer of Gitanjali. In English translation of Gitanjali that won him the prestigious Nobel Prize of Literature in 1930. The Bengali Gitanjali, it has several lyrics from Naivedya, Kaya and Gitamalya. Tagore wrote over 1,000 poems, 8 volumes of short stories, almost 2 dozen plays and playlets, 8 novels. He composed more than 2,000 songs and lyrics, besides 2 of them become the national anthems of India and Bangladesh, Janagana Mana and Amar Sona Bangla. Theme of Gitanjali. Gitanjali is a blend of number of themes and ideas. Its 100 odd lyrics explore the relationship between God and man, individual and humanity. It justifies the ways of man to God. The poem of Gitanjali are the offering of the finite to the infinite. Gitanjali, the central theme of Gitanjali, despite the lack of a biological structural succession of a continuation theme, is devotional. Tagore loved for God. Gurudev Tagore never ignored man. Tagore always sang to the glory of man. Man was hero of all his songs. Open thin eyes and see the God is not before thee, he says that. Another major theme of Gitanjali is death. Soul, voyage to eternity. Death is not the end of life, but a beginning of a new one. It is a renewal of life. He says that death is the bride and we all are bridegrooms and should be ready to meet her. Thus in Gitanjali flowers from the gardens of light, death, beauty, nature, divinity, humanism are felt. The beauty of the poem lies not so much in the statement of any kind of experience. Conclusion. Rabindranath Tagore's magnificent art of poetry and his beneficial message to mankind, in all its sincerity, he believes that all that is harsh and dissonant in life melts into one sweet harmony. The theme is always man, nature, God, life, death, the universal things.
Thank you, ma'am. Next, Mumbai country. See, when compared to Western countries, European countries,
We can learn those things and we can expose certain things so that the future generation will try to understand, oh, these are the big ones that we have in our country. Okay, why don't we try to overcome them and compete with the other guys in the world? Why should not we become raised to that level? That should be our motto. Okay, and you know that, say today, well, most of you guys are trying to separate, differentiate that women writers and men writers. Okay, that's good. So, see here, if you take the software field also, women are dominating now. Well, that should be, so that, because today, we know very well that it's from our, it's a kind of inheritance. I can see that. From forefathers onwards, we will see that, men are dominating the entire society. But, see that, though we dominate the society, outside, but we can't generalize that all men are like that. Hello. I generally used to teach my students that, well, daddy behaves like a boss, but mommy is a team leader. Okay. Mommy is a team leader. Though this boss acts like anything outside, but when he enters his threshold, he'll have to follow mommy only. Keep out of there, this crowd, what is that? Should be this crowd also there. Like with the naughty, nothing. That's how I humbly request all the moms here, why don't you expose the psychology of man, how these men are dominating and spoiling the psychology of women here. That should be there. In a positive way, not pointing out all negative points there. Not criticizing, not humiliating. Because we'll have to create a very positive domestic situation through our writings. Why don't you do that, ma? Try. And men also. See, our works should become some role models, examples to other guys also. When you have shown that much interest in presenting a paper, try. See, it's not inherited. Creative mind is not inherited. Anyone can become a writer. Yes. If you think that way, if you spend your time like that one, see that a very, very good example. You take scientist Abdul Kalam. What a beautiful writing. You see that a scientist writing such beautiful novels like books and a software engineer. Maybe his wife might have inspired him to write a love story of their marriage, and after that he started writing some other books also. See, he became a very popular guy now. A young boy, young software engineer. See that? Once we change our mindset, everything can be done. That's why I can say that always I used to teach my students that, hey, love, develop love. Yeah, once you love anything, nothing will stop you. Love is everything. Oh no. Love molds our life. Love changes our life. What for? It doesn't mean that love between a man and a woman. No. See, all movies give us a grand message beyond the hero and heroine. We stop only at hero and heroine, but no. Every movie has got a beyond that love story message. What that message? If you love anything, none. I humbly request all the scholars, love literature. Love English literature. Study how these Americans, culture is different, habits are different, domestic situations are different. Maybe, come on, look at Americans, look at British writers and then our Indian writers. There's nothing wrong if we read our own mother tongue works also. That will help us how these writers are presenting everything. So many problems are there in our country, really. See that caste system dominating, so much and spoiling the entire society. Okay, and psychological things. Okay. So you can study psychology of people also, see how they are behaving in Islam. Hey, inspire the guys like Chetan Bhagat, Abdul Kalam Ji. Yes, try. You youngsters, try to be role models to not only Indians, even to Americans and British guys, Canadians, Australians, even Russian, Chinese writers. Come on, think that way. You can achieve anything, whatever you think. And the Bhakti Bhavana, love and love. Thank you, that's all.
Sorry, sir. Thank you very much, sir. I request guest of honor, Dr. K.V. Ramanachari, sir, Head Department of English, Telangana University, to come on with us. I request our principal, sir, Dr. V. Rajendra Prasad, sir, to come up. I request Dr. K.V. Ramanachari, sir, Head Department of English, Telangana University, to comment on the technical session.
Respected dignitaries on the list and a speech. See, young scholars and my teachers who are in teaching field, my appeal, or I can say my humble appeal is in research work. Whatever the book you select, I don't mean that you haven't read the book. I totally know that you read the book, but read it twice, thrice, 4 times. Even my words bore you, please read 5 times. The 5th time you will get different opinions about the author. In the first stage you get a little picture, second, third, fourth, fifth. Then you are accountable to each and every word that you are keeping on paper. You are master of it. Don't skip off any word, don't escape from any construction that you have made on the paper, because you are liable to all the words and the sentences on the paper. You are, and in research there is another great job what you have to do. MLA handbook. How many of you right now have the MLA handbooks of 7th edition right now with you? If 7th edition you have, again I think 4-5 months ago they came MLA Quick Guide 7th edition. There is a time delay from the 8th edition, that's why they have kept in web. So MLA Quick Guide, which contains 10 pages, please go through it, because when you go to any other universities for international seminars, the technical section, child people look at works-cited references, not the story that you have developed in the paper. They know you know. They do not comment on the story. They comment on the works-cited references, or if you go for bibliography for any other reasons, they check it. Please be careful about the MLA handbook. And research scholars must treat it as Ramayana Mahabharata. If it is with you in your bag, within 6 months you become knowledgeable about the research. How to derive a line, how to derive a word, how to derive 10 lines, how to derive entire page, para, a lot of difference. So you please learn to incorporate the comments within the word spaces. Don't go for the old style of some critic says entire para. What the critic says, you incorporate in your text within short words. Then only the paper appears good. So it's my humble appeal to all the research scholars, including myself. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
I request our principal, sir, Dr. V. Rajendra Prasad, sir, to give this speech on this technical session.
Good afternoon, respected Professor K. Ramachandra garu, Principal Officer P. Ramamohan garu, Colonel Office National Seminar Dr. Asma garu, Vijayan garu, Prasad garu, and my dear teachers, scholars, and students. I hope that this national seminar gives immense knowledge in the morning session. I'm not an English teacher. I enjoy a lot to the valuable messages of Sri Parthasarthi garu, Vice Chancellor Telangana University, Vivekapanda garu, Professor of University of Hyderabad, and K. Ramanacharya garu, Dr. Dharmaraj garu. They give elaborate lectures, and it is relevant to the not only English teachers, the other subject teachers also enjoy their lectures. I am very happy because of they are here and they give consent to come this national seminar to give a valuable message. This year in Gujarat Government College we are planning to conduct 5 national seminars. We already conducted 2-day national seminar in Botany Department, Biodiversity and Conservation. This is the second national seminar. We are planning to conduct 3 more national seminars in physics, zoology, chemistry and political science also. This institution already conducted 30 national seminars in last years. We have faced the NACPT visit in 2017. We hope that the remaining 3 national seminars also successfully completed this academic year. I congratulate the convener of this national seminar, Dr. Asma Faruqi. His contribution of this national seminar is an excellent contribution to conduct this national seminar. And the co-convener, Veeraprasad sir, and the Department of Economics entire team, they are come forward and contribute individually and collaboratively to conduct this national seminar. I congratulate everyone of the Department of English and other faculty members also, those who are cooperating with them. And I thanks to the resource persons to accept their consent to chair the technical sessions, Professor Ramanacharya garu and Dr. Dharmaraj garu also. I hope that these deliberations and discussions of this national seminar are useful to our daily teaching and research and other activities also. I once again congratulate the organizers of this national seminar to successfully conduct this national seminar. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. You were the inspiration for organizing this or conducting this national seminar, sir. Without you, we are nothing. Thank you very much, sir. I request Dr. Tukaram, sir, returning today and have his honorable seat.
ఏమైనా
Thank you very much, sir.
నడుస్తున్నది ఇంకొక 10 నిమిషాలు అర్ధగంట అయితే వచ్చారా అవినాష్ సార్ వచ్చిండా సరే సరే ఉండు వచ్చారా మన వాళ్ళన్నా లిస్ట్ రాసుకున్నావాడా సరే సరే ఓకే ఓకే రైట్ రైట్ ఓకే రైట్ రైట్ రైట్
K. Rajashekar, GDC Kamareddy. B. Bhavna, Vishwashanti Degree College. एम टी भूमయ్య रत्ना डिग्री कॉलेज वर्धन मोहम्मद मुबीनुद्दीन लेक्चरर हिस्ट्री गुजरात गवर्नमेंट कॉलेज जी श्रीनिवास राव एसआर कॉलेज निजामाबाद I request Ramnath Chari sir to distribute some certificates. Dr. E. Brijesh, Government Degree College, Medal. N. Swami, Research Scholar, Telangana University. M. Srinivas, JPHS, Govinda. Renika, Lecturer in English, Women's College, Nizamabad. Sajia Samrin, Lecturer in English, Women's College, Nizamabad.
zoom చేయకుండా इकने से रहा इनका वीडियो ला के देखिए आप जाओ आपका प्राइज राजा
ई सतीश बासठ
राजा
आर संगीता कृष्णा डिग्री कॉलेज G. Srinivas, Lecturer of History, GG College, Nizamabad. Thank you. P. Sudhakar, Vasu Degree College. Dr. N. Padmama, IFLU, Hyderabad. Dr. G. Kiran Kumar, Nizam College, Hyderabad.
मैं हैवे क्लाइमेट
अच्छा टीचर जी साहब के साथ जो बड़े साहब
जर्मन जाके और क्या है
Dr. K.V. Ramnachari, Department of English, Telangana University.
काका एక్కడ ना
Now I request Vice Principal sir to handle some certificates. S. John Sukumar sir, Government Degree College, Armor. D. Santosh, JDC Dichkunda. P. Sudarshan, JDC Bindar.
आ रहे
D. Magna, Government Degree College,
ఇక్కడ నుంచి పోయి టర్న్ అయిపోయింది.
Dr. Gangadhar Hindur, SRMK Government College. K. Hare Krishna, Government College, Ellaradi. Ashwin Shaw, RG WKT Passer. UKT,
Okay. 280 passer.
G. Shankar. Passer.
Yes. Come on. Shankar.
Sunil Kumar Shinde, lecturer in English, DG College. J. Nagarjoti, lecturer in English, DG Simultan. Rana Anju, principal, Crescent Junior College, Nizamabad. K. Sopna, GDC Kamarati. Om Prakash Nilagandi, Professor P. Venkatesh.
हेलो, मैं डिग्री बाद में करता हूँ विराट कॉलेज में.
प्रतिभा मैडम, लेक्चरर इंग्लिश, गवर्नमेंट डिग्री कॉलेज निजामाबाद. लेक्चरर इंग्लिश, एस लावण्या, जीजी कॉलेज निजामाबाद. पूजा, लेक्चरर इंग्लिश, जीजी कॉलेज निजामाबाद. बिंदु माधुरी, लेक्चरर इंग्लिश, जीजी कॉलेज निजामाबाद.
Gangadhar Gaur, lecturer in English, Nizamabad Government College.
Madam. Lalu. Bindu madam.
I request Mr. Sir to present Dr. Mohammad Aslam Farooqi sir, convener of this national seminar, who made it successful. The Gangadhar Gaur sir, Virat Government College, Nizamabad. I request Mr. Sir to present.
फिनिश कौन सा? हाय भाई, काम करके शुरू. ओके.
Right, sir.
Okay.
And Suhasini. Tisana, Virat Government College.
Right, sir.
Right. Next to Garden School. Go to that.
H. Dham Singh, Virat Government College, Nizamabad. Next, J. Shankar, Virat Government College, Nizamabad. Next, B.
लाइब्रेरी ओके राइट
S. Shruti, M. Arjun, Vanya Sabrin, Mehra Chanju, J. Nikita, G. Mahita, Aparna,
बच्चे ले रहे भाई
Nikita, Pranavi, Prasuna, Lavanya, Pranaya, Veena, Rahul Sultani, Vasanta,
ले लिया फाइल शुरू में आएंगे ले लिया मैडम
We are not looking your expressions.
ओके नाउ तो हाथ आ रहे ऑटो हो गया हो गया ले लिया भाई वीक हो जाना ये तो शायद लेके क्या फायदा भाई